Word up. All eyes on Clipse. July 11th is right around the corner. Probably the most anticipated album in hip hop so far this year. Let God Sort 'Em Out. Malice and Pusha T's reunion as Clipse is on the way. So far, everything I've heard, I've thought is fire. Everything I've heard so far, there's been no misses so far on this project. One second applause to Clipse and Pharrell. And so, but the big conversation again around this album has been UMG telling Clipse they wanted Kendrick Lamar to change his verse because they didn't like what he was saying on it. Now, there's been theories or speculation that they thought Kendrick was throwing subs at Drake on it. They didn't like that. We had another story last week where Pusha T came out and said that they referenced the line Trump card. As you guys have seen on this channel, I talked about how I like the political stuff that's happening in this verse, the political references in here, and there's a particular line in here where he says the two-time Gemini with the genocide. And I talked about how that sounds like Trump. That sounds like Trump to me, right? He's a Gemini. We watched his military parade look very aggressively mediocre, aggressively underwhelming on that military parade. I think he thought he was going to have a Kim Jong-un style military parade, and he got a bunch of guys who looked like they didn't want to be out there. No shots to the military, but we had tanks from 1920 creaking down the road. I know Trump fired some people over that one, but I posited the idea that I think it's probably more about the Trump stuff, especially now that Pusha T has announced, or at least stated in the podcast, the Popcast, I think it's called last week, that UMG was more concerned about the Trump reference. Now, I can get that. I get that. I mean, if they made this song last summer, you know, Trump had an assassination attempt last summer. You know, you've got a president who's willing to go at any industry. And there's all kinds of legal things that UMG's got going on that they probably wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of Trump about. Right-wing media is always quick to take something that's happening in the rap and blow it out of proportion and make it look like, you know, somebody on this side is anti-something over there. We've seen that with Cameron. We've seen that with Ludacris. We've seen that with Lupe Fiasco. UMG also is under the scope for payola. They have a federal investigation going on right now. Maybe the juice just wasn't the squeeze. But that is how Clipse was able to get out of their Def Jam and UMG contract, and now they're at Roc Nation. So we had more information on the verse, and then last week we had a clip from the verse that actually leaked. Now the final line of the verse hasn't been revealed to the public just yet, but during a listening in Paris, I think they were in last week, we got to hear the majority of it. Now I've broken down what I take from the verse, what I like about the verse, and again, I looked at that line, two-time Gemini with the genocide, right? And so I put that out there. We've been talking about that. Now, big shout out to the Bigger Picture with Jeremy Heck, DJ Head, and Elliot Wilson over at HipHopDX. As you know, Jeremy's been on this channel a number of times. He's been on Culture United a number of times. We were talking about this verse last week. And so we had a conversation last week, and I was telling him how, you know, the two-time Gemini with the genocide looks like it's like a Trump lyric to me. You take that, you had the candidate thing, the Pentagon thing, you know, there's like some government political stuff that's working as well in it. And so Jeremy, after that conversation, Jeremy texted me back later. He's like, yo, I think maybe the whole verse is about Trump and Kendrick is rapping from Trump's perspective. Now, I thought that was crazy. I mean, not crazy bad, but like I thought that was crazy if Dot really did that. And so Jeremy breaks it all down on this week's episode of The Bigger Picture. So let's take a look at Jeremy's theory and let me know what you guys think about this.
I'm not the candidate to vibe with is how he starts this verse. Okay. Now, a lot of people, what they say about Trump's candidacy, and a lot of people, when he was doing the podcast run, was, you know, I like Trump's vibe. People say like they don't go for the facts. It's about the vibes with Trump. His energy, his energy, right? So
that's the truth. I was at my shout out to Cam. He works at the corner store near my house, and Brothers Market. First person, I've seen a lot of these FAFO videos. I've enjoyed them, to be honest. But he's the first person that I've met in person who I see on a regular basis. I was checking out the other day, getting my, my laundry detergent. And Cam asked me, yo, what do you think about him getting rid of birthright citizenship? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, he said he was going to do that. And he was like, I don't like that. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. And I'm like, but he said he was going to do that. Did you vote for him? He was like, yeah, I voted for him. And I was like, you voted for Trump? He's like, yeah. And you don't like the birthright citizenship thing? Or no, I don't like the ICE. I don't like any of this stuff. I don't like any of it. And I'm like, why'd you vote for Trump? I thought he was going to fix the economy. And I was like, wow, I finally had a real life interaction with someone who felt that way. Most of the time out here, I imagine it's probably the case in a lot of blue cities, but most of the people that I run into out here either voted for him and knew exactly what they were voting for, or they didn't vote for him, and the majority didn't vote for him. So I actually ran into someone who I see almost every day who voted for him pretty much off the vibes, because it's definitely vibes if you think anybody on the red team is going to fix the economy. I mean, that is a historical statement. You can go back to any red team president. You got the Great Recession, red team. H.W. Bush, he didn't get reelected because he had to raise taxes because they were in a recession. Reagan, recession. Nixon, recession, and they got off the gold standard. You can go back, all the red team guys, they never do a good job on the economy. You could just go look at the numbers, just hard numbers. So that's what he's talking about here. Yeah, when they vote for Trump, it's really all vibes.
Feelings and emotions going to ruin humanity.
Right. I'm not the candidate to vibe with. I don't fuck with the kumbaya shit. Now that probably is a Drake double entendre, but think of this from the lens of Trump.
Okay, let's see these lyrics from the Trump perspective.
I don't fuck with the kumbaya shit. Yeah. We know that that's true about him, okay?
These guys are bombing each other. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right? All that talent must be God sent.
He's been on this political shit too. I see you out here. You know what I'm saying?
I sent your ass back to the cosmics. That I'm saying probably is, the Drake double entendre. Here's where it gets interesting to me. These certain bars where he says, the two-time Gemini with the genocide, okay? Interesting choice of words. Of course, Kendrick's a Gemini, but two-time Gemini is interesting. How many times has he been president? And the word genocide is very specifically used with one region of the world right now that is not just thrown around lightly. Who's in charge right now and continuing to go with that?
That's what I said. 1 second applause, Jeremy.
Then he says, gentlemen and gangsters connect, the agenda of mine. Move people up out of here, this shit getting gentrified. Now, there's been a lot of different people who have come out in support in one way or another of Trump from all different types, gentlemen and gangsters. Very specific type of word, agenda. And then also to get people up out of here, they fired a lot of people. They fired a lot of people when Elon came in. They fired a lot of people, okay? Heavy jeans like Genevieve, I drop your Pentagon. When else is the word Pentagon used besides specifically politics, okay? So I drop your Pentagon. They also got rid of a lot of individuals who worked in the Pentagon specifically, okay?
I mean, it's adding up to me so far. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.
And show up at your gender reveal and tell them, give me mine. I son dudes, I'm the general, wear my gin and juice. Now, the gender reveal thing, that was a huge hot button issue when it comes to the politics and the election, like transgender and gender and all this. That was like their hot button topic. Now here's where it gets really interesting to me. I was loving this, okay? They said I couldn't reach Gen Z.
Who's that white boy Cooper? Is about to be a star? He's wide open right now. Cooper.
They said I couldn't reach Gen Z.
Right now.
You effing dickheads. You must be full of that ginseng. Here comes the jinx. Yeah. They said Trump had no hold on young men and Gen Z, and he had no reach with them. So what did he do? He went on the podcast run.
And Happy Dad. Happy Dad was so pivotal to that. Happy Dad was the reason why he was able to connect so viscerally. They were so critical that Happy Dad was thanked during Trump's victory party that night. So all that is critical. All that is critical. It's a great point.
And who voted for Trump? The young men. And they said the podcast run was actually what helped get him into office, the people who did the interview. So all of this, the same way he did on the Nostalgia verse, and correct me if I'm wrong, at the end of that verse, it tied it all together by saying, go figure, your son is a brick. and every verse. So I have a feeling that Trump card lyric is like tying this all together to show you he's talking about from the eyes of Trump, or at least to make that possible. And I have a feeling people did not want that verse going out for two reasons, because of the optics and because you're getting a little controversial politically, which Kendrick doesn't do that.
So you think the UMG
I'm not mad at that. 1 second applause. All right, now here's their rebuttals.
people connected that it's maybe a play from the Trump perspective in the bars?
I don't write it out. I don't write it off. I think if you have a word Trump and you have a word genocide, that's enough to flag the censors. What show was that? Was that Animaniacs? The censors, destroy the censors of the Animaniacs theme song? Was that? Or Tiny Toons? I can't think of it right now. Let me know if they say something about censors on the Tiny Toons theme song for the opening jingle for that cartoon, because that's the first time, we crashed out all the censors? I think that's what they say. That was the first time I ever heard that word in my life. I had to ask my mom. I was like, Mom, what's a censor? I see this every day on one of my favorite cartoons. 1 second applause.
I wouldn't give them that much credit, honestly. I think they just thought.
I think
if you have words like genocide and Trump, that's enough. They don't have to get the whole thing. They clearly don't care about the art. They care about the exposure and the liability.
Timeline's right. He would have wrote this before Trump got elected president again.
That's what's interesting to me. I don't think
he knew he was running, so it could be even that.
It could.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, whether he was president or not, right, he's writing it from, it's art, right? Dowd is one of these people who could write fictional stories. Some artists can't do that. A lot of artists can only talk about what's happening in their life. That's not one of those artists, right? And two, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who expected Trump to win. You know what I mean? So, I think it's a point I think is negligible.
Could be.
Speculate that way. But go ahead.
This is a great
speculation.
It's a great theory. You thought it out.
Are you gonna
lead with love? You gotta lead with love.
You brought it home.
He led with love. He's leading with love.
Yeah.
You did your shit.
Thank you.
You did your shit.
I appreciate that.
Incorrect.
Okay. All right.
But this what makes the show so great.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hit me.
Somebody's gonna believe you. Somebody in the chat's gonna believe you.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Let's clip that part.
But the last line is Trump caused something like "I spare your life" or some shit. You should have told me that last two lines.
Which was an assassination attempt.
Okay.
That's what I would.
Exactly. That's what it was. And that is one of the reasons why UMG hedged, because he also had an assassination attempt. That is part of the timeline.
Good.
All right, go ahead. Well, now the floor is now DJ Heads. Go ahead.
From what I've been advised, is that they thought that he was getting at him, and they didn't want to further egress the current state and current climate of that fractured relationship.
Kendrick getting at Drake.
They thought that my guy was getting at Hex guy.
Don't do that.
I don't fuck with the kumbaya shit.
The Canadian.
And because they thought that my guy was getting at Hex guy, they didn't want to further
push the tensions.
They didn't want to further encroach on the DMZ.
Okay, but he's incorrect. He's incorrect in that sense, which I said also. We agree on that.
I think you're correct about the verse.
Okay,
Trump perspective verse. You agree with him on that?
I think the perspective of the verse.
So he deserves props for that. That's amazing that he dissected that. No one else has dissected that.
No. I agree with you.
Okay. So two separate things. Verse perspective being of Trump possible.
Yes.
The actual
W in the chat for Jeremy. W in the chat.
The reason.
So there it is. There's the theory right there. Now, look. Whatever reason UMG decided not to do this, whether it's Trump, whether it's Drake, probably both of them, probably a little bit of both of them. I think that it can't be forgotten that, again, Drake Lawbury is so used to having his company do everything for him. And for the first time, it appears that he is not sitting in the pole position he once was. You know, he has a history, apparently, reportedly, of trying to censor people's lyrics. And now he is trying to chill the entire battle rap element of hip hop in music. You know, I don't put any of these things past him. I think, I definitely think that he is someone who has done this before. I don't doubt any of that. I just think it's really interesting to think that at this point in time, UMG, that would be enough for UMG, perhaps. But, you know, just because one thing's true doesn't mean two things aren't true. Now, also on the clip front, before we get out of here, we also have the track list available now for Let God Sort 'Em Out. First song, The Birds Don't Sing, featuring John Legend, Voices of Fire. Chains and Whips, featuring Kendrick Lamar. POV, featuring Tyler, the Creator. So Be It, Part 2. So Be It, Part 2. Word. I wonder if he's going in more. So Be It's the one where he takes shots at Travis Scott on this. So let's see what else he has to say on that track. Ace Trumpet, So Fire, says featuring Pusha T and Malice. I wonder why they do that. I mean, their Clipse is their album. I don't know why I would say featuring Pusha T and Malice. Well, we know that. We know that. They are the brothers who are in Clipse. All Things Considered, featuring The Dream and Pharrell. MTBTTF. Ibada, featuring Pharrell. FICO, featuring Stove God Cooks. Look at these financial terms in here. Inglorious Bastards, featuring Ab Liva. So Far Ahead, featuring Pharrell. Let God Sort 'Em Out, Chandeliers, featuring Nas. And By the Grace of God, featuring Pharrell as well. So this is, again, the most anticipated album of the year. It's shaping up beautifully. This rollout has been something we haven't seen in a very long time. And so big shout out to Clipse. It looks like they're on the road to success with this new release. Let me know what you think about all of this. My name is Justin Hunt. Like, subscribe to the channel. Follow at The Company Man on everything, including The Company Man podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all happening.
Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping in. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, dog, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.